亲爱的观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎收看硅谷国际频道，我是贝妮。我现在所在的位置是美国旧金山湾区塞尔梦市的新硅谷离岸发展中心。今天在这里举行的是 Danville 市市长 Newell Arnerich 先生竞选连任的筹款活动。Arnerich 先生已经连续6届担任 Danville 市的市长，在他的领导下 ，Danville 连续多年被评为加州治安最好和最宜居的城市之一。那接下来就请大家跟随我们的镜头去看看活动现场的情况吧。
你好 ，Thank you. You're so intertwined that whatever we do it together. And my job in being elected is to make sure that no door is ever closed because of who you are or because of what somebody perceives you are or where you're from. It's to make sure that you are treated fairly.
Let's welcome Mr. Newell Arnerich. Thank you for joining us today.
你好，早上好，谢谢。
So you've been served as the mayor for Danville for 6 terms, and now you're running for the historic 7th term. First of all, I would like to say congratulations.
Thank you.
Under your leadership, Danville now is one of the richest town and the safest community in California. So could you briefly introduce the town's history and the jobs you have done to make Danville one of the best places to live in California?
Great. It is a wonderful place, and it has a rich history that dates back to the gold mining era. So California developed with the introduction of Spanish settlers here, and the names of the communities and the valleys came from Spanish names. But then the gold rush came along in the late 1840s, and Danville was a stopping place because of the waterways that get up to the gold fields. You had to come to Danville or you had to go north. And people came and made their fortunes, and they came back. Some decided to stay. So in 1858, Danville got its name, and it comes from the word Daniel.
Daniel.
And Ville, so it was shortened to Danville, as in, and Ville is commonly used in California with lots of other cities, Marysville, Vacaville. But there was a man who was named Daniel Inman, but it wasn't named after him. But he did choose the name of his brother because they had a mother-in-law that was from Danville, Kentucky. So we probably got our name really from Danville, Kentucky. But Danville's history is now over 160 years old, and it has always been a place that was based on farming, communities, and schools. What's interesting is the farming community are the ones who insisted on high-quality schools, because in the beginning of, or the middle part of the United States history, we were still a farming communities, and the wealth of our nation came from farming. So our farmers were the wealthy people in the communities. They put streetlights in downtowns, they put the schools in and supported that. And fast forward, I moved my family to Danville some 30 plus years ago to help raise our children, to go to great schools. My wife was a school teacher in those days and then became an elementary school principal. Soon after that, got involved in Danville, and it has a wonderful historic downtown, which has great traditions such as the 4th of July parade, which celebrates the United States Independence Day from Great Britain, and it turns out to be in this little tiny community. It's the largest parade in the San Francisco Bay Area. So there's lots of wonderful things that create that history. And if you look to Danville, go downtown to enjoy the shopping, the leisure services, the wonderful indoor-outdoor restaurants, you will see that it's all in a historic setting where lots of cities want to be super modern. Danville values its small town atmosphere and outstanding quality of life based on those historic, iconic buildings and places and parks and open space. And Danville has more permanent open space than most other cities. 43% of all of Danville is open space and always will be open space. So that's a nice character. It gives you a park-like setting. So it's a pretty fun place to be.
It's very unique.
Yes.
And talking about the COVID-19 pandemic, what's happening in Danville and what's your plans to deal with the pandemic?
Well, I do want to say something first, and this is really a thank you to our friends out there, and particularly the Chinese community. Tens of thousands of masks have been donated right in the beginning of the pandemic outbreak, where even at the town of Danville, we were struggling to be able to purchase those things. Many of our Chinese residents and our friends here in the community that I've been working with all helped and were able to organize getting those masks. And that was really helpful because it first went to our first responders, so to our police and firefighters who had to work in those difficult environments without knowing what the exposures would be like. We provided it to them, and it's been very beneficial. And then to other communities, the senior care facilities. The good news is, along with that protection equipment that was provided, and really the active or proactive role that our citizens have played in following the directions to wear masks, to do those things, we've been very fortunate with very few cases. There were 2 fatalities of 2 senior folks in their homes, and very sad, but compared to other communities, we've done really well. And I really commend our community for taking this seriously. And I think the leadership on our council and our town staff that help provide the safety standards, along with our police department, and particularly our fire department. Our fire department makes those calls every day. They have to expose themselves. And we've done a really good job of that. So it's really a partnership between our community and our citizens and our town government that has made it work and made a really safe environment for all of us. So unfortunately, we will be for at least another 6 to 9 months. We are going to be in some limited fashion of shelter in place. Not all businesses will be fully opened. Our schools are still virtual, although come January, they will be able to go back to having in-room classes and things like that. But what makes that work is the fact that everybody knows that it's the right thing to do, and it's safe, and it's that kind of cooperation between government and our citizens that makes it work well.
Thank you. We'll get through this all together.
Yes, absolutely. Together we will survive.
Yeah. And let's say if you're elected, what are some of the things that you want to achieve?
Well, there's a long list, and some of them are ongoing. And the number one, you've heard that Danville is the safest community in California, and it has been for 3 years, and it looks like we're going to be for the 4th year. But for many years, past 10 years, we've been in the top 10 of the safest communities. That takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of investment in technology and things like that. So from my list, that's still a number one. We have one of the best school districts in California, and we have the safest communities. They go hand in hand. You can't have good schools unless your community is safe. So the safer our community is, the better our schools do. So that's number one. Number two is the financial wellness of our city. We're one of only 2 or 3 cities that have absolutely zero debt. We pay cash for everything, and people think, well, Danville's so wealthy, the city has lots of money. Well, we don't. And the reason, it goes back to, there was a Proposition 13 back in 1978. It forever changed how cities and government receive taxes. And Danville got this little tiny portion compared to our cities to the north of us get nearly twice as much. So we have less money. So when you have less money, what do? Human nature says, I have to spend less, but I got to do a good job. So in the past 25 years, we figured out a way to be the most cost-effective city. So per capita, we spend half, so 100% to 400% less than all of our neighbors. And we have to pay cash for everything. So when we want to build a new park or a new building, we do have to do this. We have to save our money, wait a little bit of time, talk to a lot of people to make sure that we all agree that this is the right thing. And then we proceed and we do it by cash. That's what's made Danville unique. Not only the safest city, but we're the most cost-effective city around.
Definitely. That sounds like great plans and great future to look forward to.
Right. Those are the 2 most important things, but there are other things. We still have some trails to finish. We have a robust new art program. If you're around downtown Danville, the main street in Old Town Danville is called Hearts. H-A-R-T-Z.
Oh.
Sort of sounds like hearts, like in our heart.
Yeah.
So we have a new art program called Hearts on
Interesting.
Hearts Avenue.
Wow.
And there are these big 5-foot tall, artistically decorated hearts. And they're around town in some of our public buildings in front of our businesses. And it's to highlight our community, that we care about each other. It's a way to communicate. It's great for children to interact and see these artistic, they take their pictures in front of them. But it's part of the culture of our community, that it's part of our humanity, that we do have great financial prowess, that we are good at what we do, we know how to do this. That's my personal goal that I have done, because we didn't used to be that way. 25 years ago, we had a lot of financial problems. Mm-hmm. We don't have any today. But like everybody else, we have tightened our belt because we all need to do that in this new economy, and we will get through this. Even in the pandemic, we'll get through that together. Through the financial crisis that people are, and families or businesses or experiences, we'll get through this together. And the help that we're doing, the art program with our businesses, is the way to get people and businesses back together to celebrate and get people back downtown. So our limited openings of only outdoor dining for our restaurants has been a huge success. It's helping save those businesses that without it might not be there. So the future in Danville looks great.
Oh yeah, it's a great future to look forward to.
Yeah.
And my last question for this interview is my personal question. And that's, what's your favorite thing about being mayor?
Well, I have to tell you, I've been mayor 6 times, and each time it gets better because I know more. I have to be honest, you have to learn how to do the job. But meeting people, people from all different cultures we have because of our relationship to China and our community, our Chinese American community. There are so many delegations that visit. It's fascinating to meet those people, to learn the culture from each of the provinces, to learn about the food. The language is a little bit different, the accent is so exciting. We have lots of things to celebrate. We've had some really interesting people. Captain Sullenberger lives in Danville. He's the famous pilot who had to make an emergency landing in the Hudson River in New York, saved 156 lives. We've had incredible authors, world-renowned authors, people who've run for president. People come visit Danville in this little community. So getting to meet those people, being able to participate, share that celebration of our history, the uniqueness, the cultures that we have there, has just been exciting. And I look forward to 4 more years to be able to do this and meet more people.
Definitely, those are very valuable experiences. Yeah. Thank you again for joining us today.
And thank you, Elena. It's always a pleasure to meet you. And you know, people are probably asking, why are these here?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is from a friend of mine, Cindy Shui, and they have a winery. And she has always bottled their wines, excellent Cabernets, and a really nice champagne. And she's always put clients and friends' picture. Well, guess what? I showed up today to do the interview, and she had a couple of bottles with my picture. So really a big thank you to Cindy for doing that. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
非常感谢 Arnerich 先生的分享，希望 Danville 市在他的带领下可以迈向更美好的未来。也感谢大家的收看，请大家别忘了点赞和关注我们的节目。我们下期节目再见。